Have you ever wondered if you could boil down a 600-page book into just 7 short verses? Well, that's exactly the idea behind Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran. It's so much more than just an introduction. People see it as the complete blueprint for the entire relationship between us and God. So, let's break down how that works. The real key to understanding Al-Fatiha is to stop thinking of it as a monologue. Instead, see it for what it is, a perfectly structured dialogue, a back and forth. It starts with God introducing himself, and then humanity responds. This simple conversation sets the stage for everything else in the Quran. So here's how we're going to walk through this. We'll look at God's introduction, which is all about mercy, but then balanced with justice. Then we'll flip to our side of the conversation, the human response. It involves a core pledge, a single huge request, and finally, a really clear definition of the road ahead.
All right, so the conversation kicks off with God's voice. He's laying the foundation for this whole relationship. And think about this. The very first thing he chooses to tell us about himself isn't his power or his might. It's his mercy.
This first line is everything. It's the framework. Before we get into any history, any rules, any stories, the entire conversation is wrapped in the banner of mercy. This isn't just one of many attributes. It's the lens through which we're supposed to see everything. And what's really fascinating here is the original Arabic. It uses 2 different words for merciful, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman is this huge, boundless mercy for literally all of creation, everyone, everything. But Al-Rahim is a more focused, special kind of mercy, just for the faithful. So right from the get-go, this bond is built on a really deep, multi-layered idea of mercy.
Okay, moving on to verse 2. God's introduction continues, and now he defines his relationship with all of existence using 2 really powerful concepts, hamd and rab.
So the Arabic word hamd, it's unique. It's not just praise and it's not just gratitude. It's both, all rolled into one. It's this deep recognition that any thanks you give, any praise you offer for anything good in your life ultimately belongs to God, who is the Rab, the Lord, the sustainer, the one who keeps all the worlds running.
And then we get to the 3rd verse. Wait a minute. Does that look familiar? It should. It's the exact same description of God's mercy we just heard in the first verse. So why the repeat? It's not a mistake. It's for emphasis. It's a powerful way of saying, let me make this crystal clear before we go any further. The core of this relationship is built on boundless mercy, not on fear. That point has to be rock solid. Okay, so that foundation of infinite mercy is firmly in place. Now the conversation introduces a critical balancing act, perfect, absolute justice.
And here's where the tone shifts. Verse 4, Master of the Day of Judgment. Whoa, this one line brings in accountability. It's a reminder that, yes, God's mercy is massive, but our actions still have real weight, real consequences.
So you see this beautiful balance being built. On one side, you have this giant pillar of infinite mercy. That gives you hope. On the other side, you have the pillar of absolute justice, and that gives you responsibility. The whole relationship exists right there, in the middle. The comfort of knowing there's compassion, but also the understanding that our choices really, truly matter.
And this, right here, this is the turning point. God has introduced himself. He's shown us his mercy and his justice. The stage is totally set. And now, for the very first time, we hear the human voice. We speak directly back to God.
Verse 5 is our response, and listen to how specific it is. It is, you alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. In Arabic, the structure actually puts you first to really drive home that exclusivity. It's not just we worship you, it's you and only you we worship. It makes it so clear.
This is it. This is the heart of monotheism, or tawhid. It's this powerful declaration of complete surrender and reliance. It's like, after hearing about God's incredible mercy and perfect justice, the only logical response is to say, okay, my worship, my calls for help, they all go to you and only you. So after making this huge, fundamental pledge, what comes next? A request. But it's not for what you might think. Not for money or health or power. It's a request for what the Quran says is the single most valuable thing a person can ever receive.
The request is so simple, but it's incredibly profound. Guide us to the straight path. That's the ultimate goal. Once you've acknowledged who God is and you've pledged yourself to Him, what else is there to ask for but direction?
This straight path, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, is the path of Hidayah, or divine guidance. And in the Quran's worldview, guidance is the greatest gift of all because it's what leads to ultimate success. It's the practical manual for how to live your life in that sweet spot between God's mercy and justice.
But okay, the straight path. What does that actually mean? The final verse doesn't just leave it as some vague idea. It gives us a super clear, practical definition by showing us not just what the path is, but also what it isn't.
And here it is, the final verse. The path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have earned your wrath or of those who are astray. Right there, in one sentence, you get 3 very distinct groups of people.
So the path is defined by a positive example and 2 negative ones. It's so clear. The path to follow is that of the favored. These are people who know the truth, and this is the key part, they act on it. The paths to avoid? First, those who earned wrath. They know the truth, but they choose to reject it. And second, those who go astray. They're just lost, acting from ignorance. So guidance is about following the good example and steering clear of those 2 warnings. So when you put it all together, you can see this perfect logical flow. God starts with mercy. He balances it with justice. We respond with a pledge of devotion. That leads us to ask for the most important thing, guidance. And finally, that guidance is defined in a really clear way, a perfect conversation. And that is why Al-Fatiha is called the essence of the Quran. In these 7 little verses, you get all the big themes: who God is, why we're here, the roadmap to success, and the warnings for what happens if you get off track. It's like the perfect table of contents for the entire book.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. If this short and powerful dialogue is truly the key that unlocks the rest of the Quran, what does its intense focus on mercy and its ultimate plea for guidance tell us about the core message of the 113 chapters that come after it?